Chapter 12, Firefly Secrets. Nancy and George grinned at Bess's implication of a romance between Miss Drew and the professor. Romance or not, it was pretty thoughtful of the boys to supply a companion for Aunt Eloise. Then she would never be left alone when the three couples went off together. Both Aunt Eloise and Matt looked quite pleased with the arrangement. The professor proved to be a delightful conversationalist and revealed that he had made a study of the early days in New York State when it was settled by the Dutch. "I came across many amusing and puzzling items," he said. "It seems that at the time every man was his own dictionary. For instance, the word wheat was spelled W-E-T-T, W-E-A-T, W-H-E-A-T-E, W-E-A-T-E, W-H-I-T-T, W-H-A-E-T, W-I-T-T, and W-E-E-T-T. "Tell us more," Nancy begged. "I'll write out something," Matt said. "See if you can translate the item which appeared in a ledger." He wrote, "1 peer shoes, mead for your wife." Nancy studied the words a moment, then replied, "1 pair of shoes made for your wife." "Right," Matt said. Aunt Eloise and the girls went to prepare dinner. It was served on the porch. As they ate, Ned asked Nancy, "What's new? Do you have a mystery that we fellows can help solve?" "You mean mysteries," Bess replied. "One is nice and kind of fun, even if an enemy of ours tried to run over me with a motorboat." "What?" Dave exclaimed. An account of Bess's near accident was given. The discovery of the old coins was related next, and the finding of the piggy bank brought a good laugh. "Was anything in it?" Bert inquired. "Yes, we're pretty sure it's full of pennies," George answered. "We haven't tried to open it. Maybe they are old, old pennies and worth a good bit of money." George went to get the piggy bank, and it was pried open with a screwdriver. There were several dollars worth of pennies, but none of them were old enough to have any extra value. The girls then told the visitors about the child's Russian coach, reported by Miss Armitage to be at the bottom of the bay. "Promise you won't divulge any of this," George ended. Bert smiled. "Any of what?" he asked in mock confusion. Dave and Ned chimed in. "Did you reveal a secret?" After a moment of light-hearted teasing from the boys, Nancy spoke up. "We want you to help us hunt for it." Dave remarked, "The search really sounds intriguing." "It looks," said Ned, smiling, "as if we just got here in time." "Any more mysteries?" Bess laughed. "We could keep you up all night telling everything we've heard and suspect and found out and haven't found out." The episodes on the mountainside involving the luminescent green man, his strange disappearances, and the glowing mushrooms in the cave with the poisonous centipede were related. "George!" exclaimed Bert. "What a terrible experience!" Matt had been silent up to this point, but now he said, "I never heard of so many things happening in such a short time to people on vacation. I myself am interested in bioluminescence of fungi and insects. In fact, in my chemistry courses, I've done some special work on it." Bess said, "You'll have to meet Karen, a counselor at a camp near here. She's a botany major and is studying about luminescent fungi. You could probably give her a lot of pointers on the subject." Bert interrupted. "Now, don't you be making any dates for Uncle Matt. He's here to have a good time and to forget chemistry for a while." Matt Bronson looked at his nephew and laughed. "When one is intensely interested in a subject, he never becomes tired of it, even on vacation," he said. "Look at Nancy, for instance. I suppose she was invited up here just to have fun, and now she's involved in all these mysteries." The conversation was interrupted by a call from the dock. "Hello? Anybody home?" "I think that's Yo," Nancy explained. "His full name is Johann Bradley, but everyone calls him Yo." She turned toward the water and shouted down, "Is that you, Yo?" Yes. Come on up. When the pudgy young man arrived, he was introduced to the newcomers and shook hands with each of them. Then he said, "Nancy, I have a clue for you." "Wonderful. What is it?" Yo said he had seen the girl who resembled her getting on a bus in Cooperstown. It was going to New York City. "That is news," Nancy agreed. Yo grinned. "I guess she's gone for good. Bet you're glad of that." "If it's true, of course, I'm glad," she answered. "But she might come back." Nancy was wondering if the mysterious girl were mixed up in another vacation hoax. She asked Yo if he knew anything about a speedboat named the Water Witch. "I've seen it at a Cooperstown dock," he said. "I believe it's a private one." When he was told that the girl who resembled Nancy had been piloting the boat and almost hit Bess, Yo offered to find out who owned it. He abruptly changed the subject and said to Matt Bronson, "Have you ever been up in this neck of the woods before?" "No, I haven't. I understand it's very interesting historically." Yo declared it was more than that. "It's ghost country." "Really?" Matt said, a twinkle in his eye. Yo was serious. "You don't believe me? Well, I'll tell you a story that's absolutely true." The others listened intently as Yo began his ghostly tale. "Not far from here, on a certain night, a long time ago, a man and his wife were riding in a one-horse carriage. It was a lonely road, and they were pretty far from town. Both of them became very weary. Presently, they saw a light in a house a short distance ahead, and the man said, 'Perhaps these people will let us have lodging for the night.' They rode up to the front door, which was opened by a nice elderly couple. The travelers explained their situation and asked if they might stay overnight. The farmer said, 'Yes, indeed.' He directed the man to unhitch his horse and put him in an empty stall of the barn. He did this, then the travelers went into the house. They were shown to a plain but comfortable bedroom upstairs and soon were sound asleep. They woke up early the next morning and decided not to bother their host and hostess, but to slip away. They hitched up their horse and drove into town. People there asked where they had spent the night. When the travelers told them, everyone stared in amazement and fear. 'What was so strange about that?' the man asked. The reply was that the house had burned down many years before. 'But we did sleep there,' the couple insisted, and could not be talked out of it. Finally, one of the men in town said he would drive back with the couple and prove it to them. They went all the way to the farm. Sure enough, the house had burned to the ground. As Yo stopped speaking, Ned remarked, "And there's something else to the story. Before the travelers left the farm that next morning, the man put a 50-cent piece on a marble-top table in the hall. When the couple returned, they could hardly believe their eyes. On the marble top, which was the only part left of the table, lay the 50-cent piece." Yo's eyes opened wide. "How'd you know that?" he asked. For answer, Ned merely grinned. Yo asked no more questions. Announcing he must leave, he stood up and said goodbye to everyone. A few minutes later, he was roaring off in his outboard motorboat. Nancy said to Ned, "You'd heard that ghost story before." "Yes, but you'd never guess where. In connection with my psych course at Emerson this past year, we took up the study of ghosts. Scholars of this subject declare that all these stories are merely folklore." Night had come on by this time, and the fireflies seemed to be everywhere. Aunt Eloise remarked how much they fascinated her and the various things she had learned about them. "But I still don't understand what gives them power to light up and then turn off." Matt smiled. "Perhaps I can help you if you can stand some big words. First of all, a firefly is a beetle, and the term lightning bug is probably more appropriate than firefly." 5 different chemicals, among them luciferin, are bound together in the abdomen of the beetle. Nerve stimulations release a 6th chemical which breaks up the bond of 5. This reaction produces the light. A few seconds later, a 7th chemical destroys the 6th one, and the light goes out. Scientists are extremely interested in cold light, which beetles can produce, but man hasn't yet been able to. Many deep-sea fish light up also, and some shrimp, jellyfish, worms, and mollusks. Aunt Eloise asked, "Do many scientists use fireflies in their work?" "Yes, in their search for the magic formula of cold heat. I've been working on this problem, not with fireflies or anything else living, but with the chemicals which cause the phenomenon. So far, I haven't had much luck, but this year I'm going to concentrate solely on this subject." As Matt paused, the stillness was suddenly shattered by a wild cry on the hillside above the cabin. Then came the sounds of a body hurtling down the hillside. End of chapter 12.